What's up, everybody? This is Casey Washack with the Rolling for Revenue podcast, your jiu-jitsu business podcast. Guys, if you're looking up to level up your jiu-jitsu school, create more impact in your area, and create the business that levels up your lifestyle, then this is the podcast for you guys. Today, I want to go over one of my favorite books, and it's by Dan Sullivan called 10X is Easier Than 2X, okay? So I would argue most of us are trying to 2X our business. More students, more classes, more posts, more hustle, more stress, right? But what if I told you 10X is actually easier, and not emotionally easier, not mentally easier, operationally easier? Because 2X requires you to do more to make incremental changes, while 10X requires you to eliminate things that could be soaking up your time. So let me explain. 2X thinking sounds like this. I just need 20 more students. We need more leads. Let's add another class. All right. I'll just work harder. I'll do more posts. But if I gave you 20 new students tomorrow, would your onboarding improve? Would your retention improve? Would your stress go down? Would everything still depend on you? Because if it still depends on you, then you didn't grow the business, you're growing your job. And then the problem with this is over time, you're eventually going to burn out, and your passion is going to turn into a prison. So 2X growth makes you busier, while 10X growth makes you different. This is the shift. You cannot 10X your academy by doing 10X the work. You must eliminate things. You need to look at what you're doing and eliminate low margin programs, eliminate unclear standards, eliminate distractions for your students and your staff, eliminate tasks outside your unique ability. And it forces you to create your identity, and in some cases change your identity. So instead of being the head coach, you become, I'm the builder of leaders. Instead of I run classes, you become teach coaches. And I build systems to teach coaches to teach classes. That identity shifts everything, because once you become the architect, you stop being the bottleneck. So when you're 2Xing, it only goes as fast as you can go. But when you step back and you try to 10X, now you're getting everybody involved. So let's make this more practical. 2X asks, how do I get more white belts? 10X asks, how do I make this school impossible to leave? How do I make it stickier to where when someone signs up, they never leave? 2X asks, how do I teach more classes? 10X says, how do I develop instructors to teach more classes at my standard, the way I would do it? 2X competes on the price. 10X competes on value. Here's what we do, here's why we do it, and here's how you choose your path. Clear onboarding, clear retention milestones, leadership pathways, tiered revenue systems, developed culture standards. It doesn't rely on motivation and vibe. It relies on structure. All right? So here's a hard question. If you disappeared for 30 days, would your academy improve or decline? Your answer to this tells you everything. If it crashes and burns, then you know where you stand. So there's something in the book that I love. It's called The Gap and the Gain. And most entrepreneurs live in what we call the gap. The gap is like when you measure yourself against your ideal self and like the business you want. You start comparing yourself to like the big competition schools, the school that has 400 students, the big gyms on Instagram that have a ton of following, and then you feel left behind, right? You feel like there's such a huge gap. You feel like you're not enough, and you feel like you should be further. Well, that's the gap, and it creates a ton of frustration, insecurity, overwork. Now, the gain, on the other hand, is when you measure against where you started. So I'm a big believer, and I mean, this is jiu-jitsu, is Kaizen, 1% better every day. So 3 years ago, did you have this many students? 5 years ago, did you have this much revenue? Did you have this many systems? Did you have this much staff? Are you doing more for your community than you were 2 years ago? So this helps you build confidence when you're able to look back and see how far you've come. And that confidence scales because now you're focused on you. Insecurity grinds, where confidence, it drives you forward. It's motivation. So you don't feel left behind, even when you're winning. 10X leaders live in the gain. What do I need to do to keep progressing? What's that 1% every day that I can do? And they measure their improvements, all right? It's small incremental steps. It's not Hail Mary desperations, like paid in fulls. We need 3 paid in fulls this month to make revenue. All right. So let me bring this home. You don't need world champions. You don't need a giant facility. You don't need viral social media content. What you need is clarity. You need standards. You need systems. And then the leadership will evolve. And in this case, 2X thinking is, how do I survive? How do I put 1 foot forward and like just make it through this month? Where 10X thinking is like, how do I build something that outlasts me? So if your school only works when you do, you don't own a business, you own a job. And that job caps your income. Your job caps your freedom. Jobs cap your impact. Systems create freedom. Leadership creates scaling. You can have multiple people doing the same things you were doing. So 10X is not about ego. It's about maturity. It's about becoming the kind of leader who builds an academy that outlives them and outlives the stress, outlives the burnout, and maybe one day outlives you. And it keeps going and going and going. So guys, here's the question. Are you trying to grow your effort, or are you trying to evolve your leadership? Because 10X isn't about doing more. It's about becoming different. And that's where the growth starts. Where do we need to go? How do we need to do this? Who do I want to be? What's my 5-year plan for this school? How do I make incremental steps in getting there day by day by day? And then you follow that system and you bring people along for the ride. Your staff needs to know what the mission is. And then you only bring people on board, people on your bus who resonate with your mission. If they're not about their mission and they just want to do what they want to do, they got to go. The mission is bigger than the individual. It's bigger than you. So this is why we want to build something that outlasts you. And guys, if you ever want to potentially sell your gym, it has to run without you because you're the linchpin. So if you're not making it and you want to sell your gym, and unfortunately sweat equity does not resonate on a profit and loss sheet and on a balance sheet. Nobody cares. It's what's coming in every month and what's going out every month. That's what the business is worth. So, and if it's hardly making it and you're doing everything, you can't sell it, because the minute somebody hands you cash and then you leave, everything collapses. That's not a system. McDonald's is a system, right? Someone could buy a McDonald's, they're running the playbook, and then they could sell it, because it's not about who's making the burgers or who the manager is. It's about the systems. So this is where a lot of people get this wrong, but that's for another episode. So guys, if you got value from this, like, comment, and share. And remember to go to rollingforrevenue.com, get your Rolling for Revenue book. It's free, just pay for the shipping. And there's a couple bonuses in there as well. So guys, keep changing lives, and I'll see you on the mats.